Is it unrealistic to think Aaron Judge can play even better in 2023? Let's break it down on today's Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees. I'm your host, Stacey Gotsoulias. As always, Locked On Yankees is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to thank you for making us your first listen. We appreciate it. And let me introduce my producer, Steve. Steve, what is going on in today's show?
We got a lot going on in today's show. We are going to talk about Aaron Judge. Let's look back at some of his numbers from 2022. You know, that big number. But I want to see what it's going to take for him to repeat that season, if possible. And if not possible, we're going to set some realistic expectations. Stacey, first thing I'm going to ask you here, just blanket before I get into numbers. Can Aaron Judge play better in 2023 than he did in 2022? Your initial thoughts off the top. What is your answer, yes or no?
No.
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 Okay, then there's that. So 2022, let's set the baseline of what he did last season. Of course, you know the big number, but everything else, career highs in basically everything. He played 157 games. He had 570 at-bats, 133 runs scored, 177 hits, 28 doubles, 62 homers, obviously, 132 ribbies, 16 stolen bags, every slash line the best, 311, 425, 686. Obviously, that means his highest OPS of all time. The only thing really was his walks were the second most he's ever had in his career. The number I was looking at while I was looking at these numbers, of course, all these numbers godly, but 10.4 offensive WAR. We know what he did with the bat, and it showed right there. It was his second highest, 7.2. So he was 3 wins better, full wins, just with his bat, than he was during his Rookie of the Year season in 2017. Stacey, those numbers are ridiculous.
They are ridiculous. And that's what I say about his season all the time, because the 62 obviously sticks out because it's a new American League record and the whole storyline of him being a Yankee and Roger Maris being a Yankee and him surpassing Roger Maris. And that was a fun storyline, but it's all the other numbers. And I feel like people, not that they forget, but they kind of push those to the side to focus on the 62. And they don't focus on the fact that he nearly won the Triple Crown because his batting average was so good. And you know, he stole 16 bases, attempted 19. You know, you don't expect that from a guy as big as him. And all those other numbers were just incredible. And watching him play every day, you just knew by June that something was happening and that you were seeing something that you probably hadn't seen before, at least as a Yankee fan. And it was fun.
So my thoughts here. First, obviously, numbers great. What would it take for him to repeat that? First thing, I mean, let's just get the caveat of health out of the way. Obviously, duh. You have to be healthy to play well.
Yeah.
But I think what it more so boils down to for me is he clearly needs to play 145 games or more.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, is crucial for him. I think at 120 or 115, like that's just not enough. I think 145 for him to repeat what he did last season. He needs those reps, clearly needs them. And the Yankees need him to have that many games as well. And we know we've talked about the logjam in the outfield a lot, but there is no replacing Aaron Judge from 2022. And if you want to win the AL East in the way that they did last season, they're going to need Judge to play 145 games or more.
Yeah. And I wonder where they're going to put him in the lineup because, you know, they kept putting him at the top of the lineup to get him more at bats to try and get him to get to 62. And now that he's done that, and now that things are not back to normal, but I find it intriguing what their thought process is going to be for this season and where they're going to put him. Because someone like Judge, who hits that many home runs, you usually see someone like that in the 4 spot, you know, cleaning up, not leading off, not even hitting second. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see in 2023. And if he didn't get off to a hot start at the beginning of 2022. It took a little while for him to hit his first home run. And then once he got the ball rolling, it was one every 7. It was something insane like that. And then he went through that 9-game stretch where he didn't hit home runs and people were wondering if the pressure was getting to him. And now that he has that, I feel like he's coming into this season, it's all gravy. He has the contract. He has the American League record, and now it's just he's coming in as the captain, and I don't think there's any pressure on him. So it might be a bonus if he does almost as well in 2023.
So in terms of repeating, and you mentioned the contract, do you think, and I'm just spitballing here, do you think that having the extra weight of I need to perform to make more money or to get the contract that I want is probably the better way to put that.
Yeah.
Without that, is that a negative or a positive for his performance on the field?
I think it might be a positive. Because, I mean, when you think about the history of someone's walk year, their last year before they get to be a free agent, that's probably one of the most incredible walk years we've ever seen in baseball, because that's always in the player's mind that I have to really perform this year because yes, everyone's going to look at my career, but this is the year that I want them to know this is what I can do for you and show me the money. And he just went off. And I think that not having that pressure this year might actually really help him.
Devil's advocate. Is there now weirdly more pressure because he feels like potentially he has to repeat 2022? Or is there going to be a ton of noise in that regard where, wow, Judge is not playing as well as last year, and especially with the pressure of, let's be real, Yankee fandom going, you're not doing what, quote unquote, we paid you to do. If that meathead mentality comes creeping in, and with all the buzz around the Yankees just in general, and Judge clearly being the main storyline, him being the captain and getting the contract and the 62, like there's a lot of pressure to repeat. Do you think he's up for that challenge?
Yes, I actually think he does. He has the makeup for it. He doesn't show that he's letting things get to him. He's so just relaxed and chill. And if he's mad, you don't really know. It's very rare to see him frustrated. He tries not to show that. And I feel like he's the perfect guy to have this moment where he's the guy, he's making all the money, he's the captain, he's leading the team. He's basically like I don't want to sound too much like a crazy Yankee fan here, but he is like a superhero in a sense. I mean, we've never seen anything like this. We talk about it all the time, how big he is, how spry he is, how he plays defense, how he's an all-around great player. And I think he's the perfect guy for this. I think people might be surprised. He might, if he doesn't hit 62 home runs, I don't think people are going to be mad at him. But, he could do well again in 2023 and make people really open their eyes and think, wow, he's incredible.
Well, what is well? We're going to set that in the next segment. Some realistic expectations for Aaron Judge in the 2023 season. So stick around.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Go to LinkedIn Jobs, add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, Stacey, we had teased that we are going to set some realistic expectations for Aaron Judge. So let's do that. I'm going to throw mine out towards you first and see how you feel about these numbers. I think realistically, 270 to 290 on the average. I say his on base will dip a little bit, but will still be above career average by a good margin, just given the fear and the potential just better bats around him this season. If you think Donaldson just plays a little bit better, Glaber plays a little bit better, IKF plays a little bit better, or Oswald or whoever, like I think those numbers, his on base is going to increase in that regard because of that. I say he gets shy of 40, but still 37 bombs. And then that WAR, that offensive WAR I talked about earlier, maybe not necessarily the 10.4 that we just saw, which is utterly ridiculous just on the offensive side. He was a slight liability in the outfield, by the way. But I say his offensive WAR will still be above career average, but will be 6.0. I think that's a more realistic look. How do you feel about those numbers I just threw your way?
I would be very happy with those numbers, and as you mentioned in segment 1, don't know how other Yankee fans will feel about that, but that's a very solid season for anyone, really. It's just, I feel like compared to 62, 37 people will be like, oh wow, that's such a steep drop off. But for a normal season, 37 is fantastic.
It would be incredible. It would be a really, really good year. It would be top 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would be still in the running for MVP, right?
Yeah.
And I know you kind of wanted to dip into this a little bit, but if those are the numbers, how do Yankee fans respond to that as a whole? As a whole, do you think it's like pitchforks and, showing up at the door?
No, I think as long as the Yankees are winning and as long as he's helping to contribute to them winning, they won't have a problem with it. I don't know. See, it's weird because he really carried the team on his back last season when they were going through their valley there in the second half. I don't think they'll be as bad as we might think they could be, because as a Yankee fan, I like joking about how bad Yankee fandom can be, but I feel like if he hits 37 to 40 home runs, people shouldn't be that disappointed with it. Because if you look at his numbers throughout the career, his highest were 52 and 62, 2018 and 2019. He only played in 112 and 102 games respectively. He still hit 27 home runs in those shortened injury seasons for him. So he has the potential to hit, I like 37. I'm saying maybe more around 40 home runs, maybe even as many as 42s. Batting average, he's gotten a lot better at that. His strikeouts were up a slight bit in 2022, but with everything else that was happening, it didn't really matter. But he's just become a really good all-around player. And I think the realistic expectations are basically our numbers are the same. I say 275 batting average, but I could see it bumping up a little bit there. And definitely a WAR over 6, because if he has all those numbers, it would be relatively high. And that's, as Steve said, it's really good because 10.4 is out of this world.
Out of this world. Yeah. Otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
What is the number? And we focused a lot on that home run number last year.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
What's the home run number this year to be a disappointment?
Ooh.
Is 30 too little?
I think 30 is too little because that's a big drop off from 62. And I know that's an unrealistic thing to compare it to, but yeah, if he only hits half of what he hit last year, that's going to be a disappointment. That's why I'm hoping it's more 40-ish and it won't look as bad and it'll look more like a regular season, because as we said, everything about this season was historical for him and for the American League. And it was just amazing. And 30 would be, no, it wouldn't be that good.
Does he have a legitimate shot, do you think, at hitting past Barry Bonds in a single season? Do you think that is in the realm of possibility? I'm not saying realistic, but in the realm of possibility that he could get 12 more.
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one, because now that he's gotten to 62 and he kind of knows what it takes to get there, I don't know, that Barry Bonds season, I always tell people to look at Barry Bonds' baseball reference page because it's unbelievable. It's almost like baseball porn in a way, because the numbers are so insane. I don't think so. I don't think so. I could see him getting to 65, maybe, and have like a Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa kind of a year, but I don't know if he could get to Barry Bonds.
Okay, Stacey, I wanted to get our final thoughts out here on what a 2023 could look like for Aaron Judge. The first thing I wanted to ask you, do you think it is realistic that he, just forget the numbers, do you think he'll be MVP again? Nice and simple.
No, I don't. Because I feel like the writers like to, unless it's a performance that's incredible back to back, I feel like they like to give it to other people, alternating, and give other people a chance. I don't know.
Here's my thought on that. My thought is the competition he's up against, barring a breakout for somebody random, right? Which is always possible. You never know. Matt Olson just out of nowhere, right? Like, you never know. But, like, you think the obvious, realistic competition. Vladdy Jr., Trout, Ohtani, like, those are the main guys that you're up against.
Yeah.
I think Trout's primed for a big comeback year. He had an incredible season last year, and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
I feel like Vladdy can bounce back and be a top 5 MVP performer again as well, so long as he gets his legs right.
Yeah.
We know he's out of the WBC. The real question, and we saw it what happened this past season against the Shohei battle. Does Judge have to have a historic season to beat a very good Shohei season for the MVP battle?
It felt that way last year. I feel like if Judge comes back in 2023 and most of his numbers are similar, except for maybe home runs and runs batted in, like they're just, like we said, around the 40 mark, it's possible that he could do it again, but it does feel like he needs to go completely ham again and hit closer to 60 home runs and kind of do the same performance that he had in 2022 in order to beat. Because, I mean, the thing about Ohtani is he's good at both. It's not that he's a two-way player. He's good at both things that he does.
He excels at both. He's not just good at both. He excels at both.
Yeah, and it does take that kind of a season to beat him. He's definitely, I think, the front runner for 2023, no matter what, going into this. Ohtani.
2022 rankings, let's say Judge did not sniff Maris. Let's say he finished with an incredible 51. Every other number is the same. He finished with 51 homers instead. Did he beat Shohei Ohtani for MVP?
Yes, because I think it's the whole that milestone number. I think he would have to hit at least 50 again to beat Shohei Ohtani. I don't think 40 would do it, but I think maybe even 45. But I definitely think if he only hit 50 or 51, he would.
If he only had another career season.
Yeah.
So you're putting the number somewhere in the 45 plus range.
Yeah.
So he hits 41, and it's not enough to beat a good Shohei season.
I think it might be close. I think it might be, there might be like a real battle there, and it might be like where he's a close second or something like that. I think
40 wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
No chance. I mean, an incredible season, but I don't think 40, because it's so hard to compete. And I think the other thing is, we're kind of forgetting on this, and it's just a bunch of dudes writing and bunch of gals writing that are voting for this. But I think what's getting lost is a lot of us don't really know what to make of Shohei yet.
Yeah.
He had the Rookie of the Year season. It was great.
Yeah.
He got a little hurt. It wasn't incredible, but we saw some really good flashes of it. I really didn't think he was going to win MVP, or he wasn't going to win Rookie of the Year that year.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad that he did, but I was like, I think it's more the storyline of winning Rookie of the Year that year. There is no denying 2021. There's zero denying that. You saw how good Vladdy was.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But I think it's still going to take some time for all of us collectively as the baseball press, if you will, or just baseball fans as a whole, to really grasp what's going on in Anaheim.
Yeah.
It's really hard to understand. It's, if you're a fan of, baseball outside of Major League Baseball, maybe not completely mind-blowing that somebody could play both, because that happens a lot at the high school level, like a ton at the high school level, and it happens a good amount at the college level, even NCAA D1. It happens. Yeah. Just saw it 2 weeks ago when I went to a NCAA game. But the level of play is where it shines. If a guy was just a two-way player, say you're Michael Lorenzens of the world, say you're potential Ronald Guzmans of the year of the world, it's impressive,
right?
But it's not otherworldly. Mm-hmm. And again, I think to your point, it seems like Judge would have to have another historic season.
Yeah.
I don't know what that number is specifically, because there is a tipping point on that home run mark. 43, 44, is that the tipping mark? Like, dude got lucky with the wind one day and he hit 3 more. Like, it's really hard to tell. And I just don't see Shohei dipping off anytime soon. It's really, really impressive. And especially to your point about the contract year, Shohei's in a contract year.
Yeah, and that's true too.
It's confusing. I don't know. It's impossible to predict, even though we just spent 20 plus minutes trying to predict it.
Yeah. I feel bad that people don't get to really see Shohei Ohtani, because the Angels are never on national TV. And I saw him in person once, and the one time I did, the Yankees scored 7 runs off him. I mean, the Angels ended up winning the game because Aroldis Chapman gave up a grand slam in the 9th inning, but I was slightly disappointed because I wanted to see what Shohei Ohtani was all about, and we don't get to see that. But yeah, I completely forgot about it being his contract year. He's going, as I keep saying, he's going to go ham. This is going to be fun. I'm actually looking forward to what Shohei Ohtani can do in 2023 too, and see how they both do. On tomorrow's show, what can we expect from Garrett Cole? We'll give you lofty and realistic projections. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball with Matt and Dom as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies every day. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.